conversations with makers and disruptors, where we bring you tools and strategies and insightful perspectives on business growth, revealing both the humanness of success and challenge. For those that are new to the show, I'm Sally A. Curtis, a content repurposing whiz. We work with brilliant individuals to help them leverage their content to engage their audience through the power of emotive visuals. We're best known for turning books into 2 years' worth of content and social media posts for our clients. We have a done-for-you service where we amplify your impact because you stand out, because you connect deeply, and because your message is heard and you reach more people. And today we're going to be talking about what it takes to be successful. Now, our guest today is Erin Marcus, who has over 20 years of coaching experience under her belt from both a corporate career, from being a franchise owner, as well as a business consultant. And she likes to say that she meets at the intersection of helping people be who they are, but also do what they need to do in order to build a business and a lifestyle that they're proud of. So without any further ado, are you ready yet?
Please help me. So ready.
Please welcome to the show, Erin Marcus. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited. This is awesome. We've had such great conversations. Now we just get to share it with everybody else.
Absolutely. And from an insight perspective, I know when we've spoke the first time, and we've only just had 5 seconds talking to each other, and I've already written 3 notes down already. So I'm super excited.
Get ready.
Get ready. So can I ask you to share a little bit of your background and what brought you to where you are now with the insights that you have?
Oh dear. All right.
Tough one to start with.
It's so interesting that I've been on my personal development journey, and then you start to look back and you realize that things happen for a reason. They make zero sense at the time. Yeah. But I'll just give some examples of my background and why I think it lends itself to what I do now. So grew up in Chicago, public schools in the 70s and 80s. My mom was a hairdresser and then a apartment manager, and my dad was a cop. And public schools in the 70s and 80s. However, I went to school with people from 22 different countries. So nobody spoke English and nobody had any money. And we were kids, so we also had no judgments. And you just learn how to talk to everybody. You figure it out. Like, I always laugh. My brother's bar mitzvah album looked like Baby United Nations. Like, we just participated as children. We participated in everybody's world. So you learn that people are just people, but you learn and appreciate the differences. And I think that set the stage for a lot. Because I was comfortable. It allowed me to be comfortable in a very wide variety of situations. It allowed me to be comfortable immersed in an atmosphere where I didn't know what was going on around me. Because every time I was with my friends, I never knew what their families were talking about.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that that's unnerving to people because I've never not had it.
Yeah. I love the how you've highlighted being comfortable, because one of my favorite things is being curious, but there's a difference between curiosity and being comfortable in potentially the uncomfortable or perceived.
Yeah, and the curious is so true, and I'm very excited for my brother's family because he now lives right kind of on the south side of Chicago, and his kids are growing up the same way, where regardless of the culture, the religion, the however you want to describe it, when kids want to play with each other, they just go do all the other things with each other.
Yeah.
Right. So I've been immersed in other cultures, in other ways of thinking, in other ways of communicating, and you just learn how to navigate that. And I think what it did for me, in conjunction with my own strength finders and the way my brain thinks, is I'm just intrigued by people. Yes. The honest curiosity. Why do people do what they do? Not from a judge, not like, why the hell did you do that? Not that version of it, but why do people do what they do? And when you can approach with honest curiosity about why people can do, why are they doing what they do? And then you meet them where they are. it makes so many things possible and just fun. So like that was great. And that was the beginning of it. And then later, when I went to college and I decided, well, maybe I should get maybe there needs to be an education somewhere in here as opposed to high school where it just didn't bother with it.
Yeah.
I have a degree in journalism, which taught me how to ask questions and how to listen for answers and non-answers.
Yes.
And again, with the curiosity about the people.
Yeah.
And the communication background. And then later in life, business. I don't know where that came from. Like the overdrive of success and achievement, couldn't tell you why that showed up. Don't know. I'm thinking it was something to do with like, I knew I had to only depend on me. And if I wanted, my parents are great, but they weren't going to be able to afford a lifestyle for me. Right.
Yeah.
So there was a self-reliability that had to happen. And I just think when you mix all those things together is what I draw on now to connect to people where they are, period.
Yeah. Can I also ask you, because that adds beautifully into the conversation that we had a little minute ago around the failing forward fast and the powerlifting. So I can understand where everything's brought you to where you are now and why you're able to really help people with that, what I'm going to call that transformation piece of being, becoming more and achieving what they actually set out because they've removed or understand what's holding them back. But so many people get bent up on, I can't do that because I might fail. Whereas I've always loved the principle of failing forward faster, because I know for me, I learn through doing. So
we all do. We're humans. That is how humans learn. That is how that works.
Yeah, good call. So talk to us and share us the insight around the powerlifting.
So first, I will tell you that my boyfriend is highly supportive of me. He is curious, however, when are we going to learn to fail cheaper? If we could just learn to fail cheaper, he would be a little bit more in favor of it. He's all about failing faster and failing forward, but when do we get to fail cheaper? But one of the things I know that helps me, and I'm weird, like I'll tell you, I'm a little bit off. I'm 5 feet tall. I'm bigger now because I'm older now, but I was like 100 pounds soaking wet for most of my life. And here I was in the 80s in powerlifting competitions. Girls were not in the gym yet. But that was my world. And the thing that came out of that helps me now is when you are lifting weights as a sport, not just in support of something else, but as the goal, failure's the goal. Like if you don't hit failure, you didn't try hard enough. And when it's so failure's not bad. Failure's the objective.
Yeah. Such a different insight, isn't it? When you can feel the difference of that when you explain it.
Completely different. And I remember being in the gym with different people and different personality traits and different dating over the years. And I had one boyfriend who was he was a statistician. He was very, ducks in a row. And he would ask me before we would start doing any particular exercise, how many of these are we going to do? And I'd say, I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know the answer. Right. I don't know the answer to how many times am I going to have to try this before it works. I don't know that answer. I never know that answer. I can tell you it ain't one. I'll tell you that, right? It's not one. We're not going to do one. Right. Like the objective. I won't even use the word goal because I don't like the word goal. I hate the word goal, and I'm trying to get it out of my nomenclature, but it is a habit. But I hate the word goal because it inherently applies something hard to achieve. When you set goals, you're telling yourself, look, again, going back to the powerlifting, we would talk about a PR, a personal record. What's your goal? What's your PR? So there's this inherent definition to a goal that it's something that's going to be really hard to achieve, and it's going to be a one-off if I get it.
Yeah, very true.
Right. So I use the word initiatives. It's funny in my journal when I write what I'm working on, I used to have goals and I'd write them down. Now it's like crap I'm doing, things I'm making happen, whatever. Yes, more of this, please. Like whatever strikes me that day.
Yeah.
But if you can combine the idea that the objective, not the goal, but the objective is failure, and you have no idea how many times you're going to have to try until you hit it, it takes so much pressure off, because now we're just doing the work.
Yeah.
Now we're just doing the work.
Yeah. Creates possibilities, doesn't it? And the continuation of possibilities. Yeah.
I'll also tell you, on some days failure was 3, and the next week you eat better, you do something more, your ducks are more aligned, and failure was 12. We don't know.
And that's okay.
So don't get hung up on it.
Yeah.
Except that you don't know, which means it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Now, you've got to have some data in there, right? You don't want to.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another story. This is my exact approach, and this is where it comes from. So my father, who is now 80, has been a competitive powerlifter since I was born, and that's where this comes from.
I was just going to ask you that. Yeah.
And so my daddy-daughter experiences were traveling around the world in powerlifting competitions. We would do bench press competitions together, and the way that it works is you submit your lift, like you submit how much you're going to try to lift. And then if you get it or you don't get it, you submit the number for your next lift. Yep. And so here was my dad. We were at a competition, and here was my dad. And I forget how much he lifted. We'll just say it was like 350 pounds. Yep. And he missed it. And so normally you would submit that you were going to do that again. Because you didn't get it. So you're going to try again. My dad walks up to the table and puts in a bid for he's going to go for 375, which is 25 pounds more than what he missed.
Yeah.
And the guy at the table said, but why did you do this? And my dad looked at him right in the eye and goes, well, I already know I can't do 350. I already know I can't do that.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can't do 375.
Yeah. Wow. Very powerful.
And I'll attach it to this, because this is me and my adrenaline junkie personality. I need, if you want to get me to do something, all you have to say is, I bet you can't, fill in the blank, right? So with that in mind, if my objectives aren't ridiculously high, I'm not interested in them.
Yeah.
So if you're going to tell me, I remember, this came out in a coaching relationship that I had, where my coach was like, we were talking about making $100,000 in the year. And she said, well, what if you, and I'm like, okay, and she's like, well, what if you made it in the next 30 days? Okay. Now you have my attention.
Yeah. Yes.
Now you have my attention.
Yeah. Yeah. And isn't that, and that level of attention and curiosity, isn't that in actual fact how humans like to work? Are we not tapping into some unsung magic in that, if we just get to that next benchmark objective and we just tweak it very slightly, we just bring in all of this extra oomph that enables.
Yeah. And I warn people ahead of time, you don't have to do it my way. You don't have, the fact that my hair is all one color right now is very normal. It's winter, so I have a sweater on. You can't see all the tattoos. Like, you don't have to be crazy loud on stage, purple hair version of this. The universe's objective is more life. Yeah. Period. Hard stop. It could be quiet. It could be loud. It could be chaotic. It could be smooth sailing. But underlying it all, the objective is more life. All you have to do is watch what happens in an empty field that stops getting mowed, in a building that is abandoned, even in the city. Nature will take it right back, right? Yeah. Right. The law, universal law, nature, we're all in this environment, is more life. It's not stagnation. It's more life. It could be teeny, it could be huge, it could be whatever version works for you. My version works for me. But it is universal.
Yeah, and continuous. Yeah. Brilliant. So with the work that you do and helping people break through what sound like, and if I look at my own experience, self-imposed barriers at the time. What are some of the common things that you find in the work that you do that really are holding them back that we can highlight for people today?
So I talk about working and I'll give you a tactical one and then a mindset one, because I work at the intersection where what you need to do meets who you need to be to do it, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of business strategy. It's a lot of messaging. It's a lot of marketing, but then it's also that success mindset. So one of the things that hold people back is they just don't know. They just don't know.
Yes. And isn't that so simple but so complex at the same time, which is why we need to collaborate. Yeah.
Right. My current favorite story right now, because this just happened, is I have a client who, he's amazing. He's just like such a awesome human, right?
Yeah.
And he is in the employee engagement space. He's a coach and trainer for employee engagement and leadership in blue collar manufacturing type environment.
Yep.
He's fantastic at what he does. And he was walking around to his prospects with a list of 15, 20 some odd workshops that they could pick from. And he was charging a certain amount for it. Okay, fine. And then we finally got together. He's a private client. We sat down and looked at what he was doing and how he was doing it. And we didn't change anything about what he did. He's fantastic at what he did. But he doesn't know marketing. That's not his world.
Yeah.
And so all we did was look at what he already had. We created a package out of it. Instead of a menu, we created a come in as a thought leader, not a vendor. We created a package. We created a marketing message around it that was outcome based from the perspective of his prospect.
Yeah.
As opposed to what he already knew and thought. And in the course of a day, went from $2,500 per sale situation to a $25,000 offer that 3 people jumped on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just not because he didn't change anything about what he did. It's not everybody's zone of genius to know how to do that. I will tell you, there's so many things I don't know how to do.
Yeah.
I seriously, crazy numbers of things I don't. That's what I know how to do.
Yeah.
So it's not about knowing all the things. People don't do it the way that would optimize it for them because they just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And isn't it curious how we go through a process that feels right, sounds right to us, but in reality, because we're in it so much, and I use the phrase, we can't read our own label when we sit inside our own jar, is that he would have been going through the process. And I love the analogy of, a thought leader versus a vendor, because with a shopping list, it's sort of, you're overloading. And I used to love, fire hosing people with information. Let's just give you the fire hose versus, and yep, you laugh at that. We've all done it, haven't we? And
we've all done it.
Yeah,
we've all done it.
Strip it back to the essence of being, easy to buy. But then when you say that to somebody, it's sort of like, but how do I be easy to buy? And they're the things that make a huge difference in business, but they're the critical things that we don't know if we don't know them, which is why we need an expert to come along and go, I'm not going to turn you into a cardboard cutout of the guru at the front of the room. I love who you are and how you do it, but let's just make the tools a bit more simple.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we don't know. And then on the flip side, though, I like to let people off the hook, which, I mean, it doesn't give you an excuse for not doing the work. Don't get me wrong. But you can stop beating yourself up because on the success mindset, especially when you get into entrepreneur situation, thought leader, author, coach, like if you're putting yourself out there, you are up against neuroscience.
Yeah.
Like you just are. So let yourself off the hook. Again, not from doing the work. Got to do the work, but stop beating yourself up for the fear that you have. It's normal. That's how your brain works. The stories that you tell yourself that keep you back, it's normal. That's how your brain works. There's nothing wrong with you. You're doing your brain is working the exact way it's supposed to work. It is keeping you alive. Your brain's job is to keep you alive. It's not to make you rich. It's not to make you skinny. It's not to make you happy. It's to keep you alive, right? So, because that's what it does.
Yeah.
He's everything. It's got a little bit of a bias. It's everything's a threat. And there's no there's no gray. It's either, oh, cool, we've done this before, or oh my God, we're all gonna die.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if that's what your brain is telling you,
Yeah.
oh my God, like you and I in our roles are telling our clients, get out on social media, go live on video, post this,
Yeah.
make outbound calls. And the poor person on the receiving end of that is going, oh my God, we're all going to die. Right?
Yeah.
I get it. That's how it works. So
Yeah.
it's about understanding that fact, right? Again, let yourself off the hook. Stop making yourself wrong. Understand that that's what's going on. And now, what do we have to do to break it down into the pieces needed to allow you to move forward?
Yeah.
Make it easy. Exactly. And the thing that does not make that easy is when you buy into a Facebook ad that says, just do this one thing and you'll make millions. Because what happens is it wasn't authentic to you.
Yeah.
And then you just feel like a failure for not allowing someone else's processes to work for you.
Yeah, that didn't feel right in the first place and gave you a hinky feeling and made you feel stressed. Yeah.
Right. And so it's really meet people where they are. Yeah. Connect as a human first. Understand what we're up against. Have the honest curiosity and servant leadership, come from a place of service first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And go from there.
Yeah.
And make it sound so easy, right? It's just do that.
Yeah. Just do that. Yeah. Now,
what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. But isn't that the truth? As humans, and I believe as humans, we have this fabulous gift of overcomplicating everything for ourselves. We can make it really easy for somebody else, but for ourselves, we make it really complex. And I think that's is a human trait, because if I ask, if I ask a client to help another client, if we're in a group situation, oh, what would you do? They'll go, oh, you just do blah blah and blah. But if I ask them that, they go, oh, it's blah, it's blah, it's blah, it's blah, it's blah, and then we'll sprinkle some more stuff over the top, and it's overcomplicated.
Well, and I really think that overcomplication is the manifestation of the fear.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
It's the manifestation of the fear. It's no different than distraction. I could either post on social media, or suddenly all of the Tupperware lids have to match all of the Tupperware bodies, because, right, like suddenly that becomes the priority for life, right? So that's one way it manifests. One way it manifests is confusion. I don't know what to do, because what happens when you don't know what to do? Nothing. Zero things happen when you don't know what to do, right? So overcomplication is just a different manifestation of the same core problem.
Yeah.
It's mostly to avoid talking to other human beings.
Do you know what? I'm so glad you said that, because that's one of the Sally rants, is just go and speak to people. Everyone goes,
talk to people. Oh my God. I have so many clients, like, they want to be a speaker and they want to get on podcasts and they want to do that. I'm like, great. I'm a fan of all that. They're like, well, I can't, because I have to have a one sheet and I have to do this. And I had 30 speaking gigs last year. I don't have a one sheet. I think we finally made one. Yeah. They're like, oh my God, I don't know. I just call. They're like, how did you get it? I talk to people.
Yes.
Just crazy idea. Just call them, message them. Hey, what do you think?
Yeah, I've got one of my speaker buddies from several years ago that's run a multi-million-dollar business and has done for many years. He's never had a website. He's lucky if he's on social media, but everybody knows who he is and all the rest of it. And he's got a great network because he gets on the phone and talks to people. Right. End of story. Or his team does. And he's never had to have all of those things. So I love when somebody just comes up and takes success by the horns and just does the activity, because they've gone through whatever they've needed to go through from a mindset perspective and know what they need to do to achieve their level of success that they look for. So.
And as I'm listening to you, all I'm thinking about is, oh my God, can you imagine the profit margin on his business? Because he doesn't have all of the expenses, right, of their subscriptions and all of the things.
Yeah, but and that's actually interesting because that's why that's just given me a huge light bulb moment. His events, he used to spend probably that money that he would have spent on all those things on the experience of his events, which is why the word of mouth and, his business grew, because
I'm sure of it.
experientially the events were amazing. The food was amazing. It was just like you go to one and you want to go to the next one.
He spent his money on service, on other people.
Yeah. There's a little lesson. Well, there's a great little tip for everybody, isn't there? Excellent. So let's have a talk now about what the 3 tips that you would generally share with people to help give them forward movement. Obviously, we've just highlighted a number, and I'd love you to talk about some of the work that you do and how you can help people so people can get in contact with you as well.
So tips on how, why don't we frame it this way?
Right, yeah. Love how you make it simple.
It's only. So I do something that I call the forward momentum method. Because it's step by step. One of my big soapboxes around the coaching industry, coaching and consulting, is there's all these people out there with lists telling you what to do. But if they can't break it down to teach you how to do it, that's just parroting a great experience they had. I'm not saying they're coming at this in any malicious intent. So my big thing is, okay, how do we break it down so that you can do it?
Yeah.
So if we were to be like, okay, step by step, and I do this process for everything, and it starts with the dreaded coaching question that makes my clients want to stab me in the eye. What do you want? What do you want? Nobody knows. Like, we don't spend time thinking about this because we go out into the world and we do random acts of marketing. We do random acts of business. We have no idea why. Like, the entire world has to be reverse engineered in order to work.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Yeah.
Because you can't make decisions if you don't know that.
Yes.
Yeah. Like the book, I don't know if it's the same by you, like Good to Great it's a very big book here. They, in my MBA, they case study and the whole thing about put the right people on the bus.
Yeah. Right people on the bus in the right spot.
But they won't get on the bus if we don't know where it's going.
That's exactly. Yes. Yes. Very true.
So what do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want? So that's where we start. Like, what do we want? And then you have to break that down into the action steps. Break it down into the smallest, I call it actionable, maintainable.
Oh, nice.
Right? Everything you do has to be actionable and maintainable. If it's too big, it's not actionable. You'll sit down and, I need to post more on social media. That's not actionable. What does that even mean? And it's not maintainable because what's going to happen is you're going to have a block of time. You're going to sit down. You're going to do a bunch of work. And then tomorrow you have appointments, which means you'll do 0 of it.
Yes.
So it's not maintainable.
Yeah.
Right? So it's, what do you want? Step 1. Step 2, break down the way to get there into actionable and maintainable parts. Now, step 3 is where it gets a little bit confusing or concerning, because what happens when you go to do the work? Do you avoid doing the work? Do you just do the work? Like, you have to start learning how to interpret your physical response to the work. And I divide it into a couple different categories. One of them I call dread. Dread is, don't go down that alley, don't take that job, don't marry that man. You know all these things, and we do it anyway because you didn't listen to the dread.
Yes.
Dread in me is a sinking feeling.
Yeah.
It's I'd rather poke myself in the eye with a stick than do that.
Yeah.
That's dread. Listen to that and don't go that way.
Yeah.
And then there's another reaction that you'll have to the work, and I call it teenage eye rolling.
Yes.
Right? I don't have them, but I was one, and I was a bad one, right? So
yeah.
Teenage eye rolling means you know it has to happen, but you hate it.
Yeah.
Outsource that.
Yes.
Yes. That's somebody else's work. You know it has to happen, but you shouldn't spend your energy on it because it's going to suck the life out of you.
Yeah.
right? And so my third response, the one that I'm looking for, I call it buzzy roller coaster.
Yep.
Buzzy roller coaster is personally in my chest. It's how I feel. I'm fine in line for the roller coaster. I'm fine on the roller coaster. My moment of abject terror is when they put you into the slots and you're next. Right?
Yep.
I'm scared and excited at the same
Same
time.
time. Yeah.
If I'm scared and excited at the same time, that's the direction I'm supposed to be going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So step 1, what do you want? Step 2, break it down into actionable, maintainable pieces. Step 3, interpret how you feel about those pieces. So you know if A, you should be doing them, B, if you should be outsourcing them, or C, if it's the right path.
Yeah.
And then it's get results. It's
Yeah.
collect the data. What happened? People ask me, how do I learn how to make better decisions? You learn how to make better decisions by making decisions and then figuring out, how did that go? How's that working for you?
Yeah. Sorry, no, keep going.
I think you go through the debrief. You go through the debrief on all of it. How did it work out? Well, I didn't listen to the dread. I married the guy, and here we are, right? Like, whatever it is. And then the process starts over.
Yeah.
Right? You take that data and you go back to the top and you go, what do you want? But now you're going to do better because you're now making data-driven decisions as well. And it's just a loop.
And you're working to your own, you're understanding yourself and getting to understand what works for you and why it works, which then forms and creates consistency, which adds to leverage. That's something that I love when talking to groups, is everyone goes, but don't I need to do this and I have to do that and I must do this and I must do that, and it's like, okay, business is, relationships, it's business development, and it's marketing, however you want to say that, but there is 4 things in each of those buckets that are going to uniquely work for you. It doesn't mean you have to do all 12. You just need to find the 4 that work for you and pass over what you don't want to do, as you articulated so beautifully.
Well, and if in that taking action is where you figure out, I know I have buzzy roller coaster, that's my thing. Wait a minute, I don't actually know how to do that thing. Let me go find someone who does, who can teach me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, leverage.
Get the resources, right? The resources to follow that path.
Yeah, and it's almost that the step by step helps you form the strategy to continue of that continuous improvement of understanding yourself. And I hear myself saying it's almost you're tricking yourself into success because you're creating the habit. So you've sort of almost got to play the trickery game initially. But
I'm a big fan of the trickery game.
Yeah, me too.
You buy the outfit that you only wear to the gym, so you'll go to the gym because you want to wear the outfit. I have zero. I said, this is my business, not my mother. I don't need closure. I just need it to work.
Yeah.
And if that means I have to put bumpers in my gutters so that I can play trick, I don't care. Whatever tool that works for you is perfectly fine as long as it works.
As long as it works. Yeah, beautifully. Beautiful. One of the things that we did talk about also at the beginning of the show was one of your free resources that you have for the audience. And I'm just going to pop that up on the ticker so people can see that as well. Can you explain what that is and how that might be able to help people and they can download it?
So, absolutely. So one of the things that's been making me nuts is this whole multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
I get it. If you're saying I have multiple streams of income, you need multiple streams of income. Okay, fine. If you're talking about your rental property, your business, and your investment portfolio, go for it. What I'm watching happen over and over and over again in the entrepreneurial space is people think they need 4 different businesses.
Yeah.
And if you haven't mastered growing one, I promise you 4 is not easier.
Yes.
4 is not easy. You're confusing the marketplace. Nobody knows what you do for a living. And so they smile and grin at you and they nod and they walk away slowly.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I do believe in not putting all your eggs in one basket. Right? So if you have a business, first of all, you have the best asset you could have because you have complete control over it. So what I did was I created and it's a workbook because it has the teaching points and then questions that you can go through and answer. What about building multiple streams of income within your business? Within your business.
Yeah.
Right? So we still have the focus. And I'll tell you, this is not for like, if you're under 50, 75K, build your first 6 figure. Like, don't make yourself crazy. Don't go out and do all 5. Pick one.
Yeah.
Start with number 5.
Keep it simple again. Yeah.
Keep it simple. Start with number 5. Any business can do number 5. That's finding the money that it's hidden in your business just because we lose track of it so fast. But it's the idea of start by building multiple streams of income within your business.
Yeah.
So again, I come from marketing, business strategy and marketing. So as soon as I hear, well, I do this, and the other thing, I'm going market confusion. Danger Will Robinson does not work. Do not recommend it.
Yeah.
So that's what that is. I've created a workbook about creating multiple streams of income within a business that satisfies the don't put all your eggs in one basket, but at the same time doesn't create confusion and overwhelm that might just derail the whole thing.
Yeah, and isn't that so easy when you do diversify and look at other things, you end up in that bright shiny objects, and your focus is split, and if you chase 2 rabbits, you're not going to feed yourself, and all those sorts of things that we've heard before. So I love the fact that the multiple income streams are from within the one business. So for those that are watching the show, you can actually see that going across the ticker. For those that are going to watch this replay later, that'll be up on all of the social media platforms as well. One of the other things I'd love to ask you is, what's your favorite one-liner?
All right. I'm going to age myself here a little bit. Not that much. It's from The Matrix. It's from The Matrix. And the line is, there is no spoon.
There is no spoon.
Yes. So in The Matrix, if you know the story, it's a make-believe world that's being fed into their brain. And the people who understand that, there's a kid at some point in the movie, and he's holding a spoon and he's bending it with his mind because he knows it's not real.
Yeah.
And later in the movie, you've got Neo, and he's on an elevator. It's very dramatic. And Trinity, he's got her, like, it's kind of like right out of Star Wars, or he's got her around the arm, and he's going to cut the wire on the elevator to let the elevator drop and save himself, right? But he's scared. And so the thing that he says right before he does that is, there is no spoon. Like, it's all made up. And for me, my tagline in my business is be in charge, take action, get results. And the be in charge thing means there is no spoon. I get to decide. I get to create what I want. Don't live on leftovers. If you don't make the decisions for you, if you don't create what you want, you're literally giving someone else is. Someone else is. You get to do whatever you want.
And enjoy every moment of it. Yeah.
If you choose, absolutely.
Yeah. And isn't it a choice? There's a phrase that keeps coming up to mind, and I've been umming and ahhing whether it's appropriate to say it, so I'm just going to say it anyway.
It's always appropriate.
I love it. And one of my friends refers to that roller coaster essence that you talked about as shit-sighted.
Oh, yeah.
Which I just
absolutely.
That kept coming up in my
absolutely.
In my
I have to use that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, we need more of those shit-tighted moments, because that's what propels us forward, that fear and that excitement. And I think that's been the highlight for me. It's recognizing and being able to acknowledge the difference between the dread and when that bubbles up, and how we can tap into that and use that for good in our business and for the leverage and the consistency we seek.
And when I feel it, my response now is always, all right, here we go.
Yeah, exactly. You can play along with it. Yes, yeah, exactly. And what's one of your tips or the favorite thing that you also like to do as it relates to engaging with your audience?
I thought about this, and I kind of flip it a little bit because I don't think it matters. I think it all works. The thing that people miss that makes all the difference in the world is what I call doing the work before you go to work. Who are you talking to? who is your, they call it an avatar, you can call it whatever you want, ideal client. If you don't know who you're talking to, it waters down everything.
Every message. Yeah.
So it's kind of like 80s ad machines. They all work. You just do it consistently. It works. Some works better than other. There's no more magic bullet. We're past the golden age of build it and they will come online. They will, I promise you without fail, as soon as you figure it out, they will change the algorithm. So it doesn't totally matter. To me, those are Insta tactics.
Yeah.
Who are you talking to?
Yeah.
If you figure that out, the rest comes.
It does. Yeah.
Who are you talking to? How do they receive information? Not how do you want to put it out there. How do they want to receive it?
Yeah. Which ties beautifully back into the gentleman that you talked about who turned his business around with your help, because he went from being he became the thought leader that he was in a demonstrative form versus the vendor that he was being. So he was actually became, which is exactly what you do, more of himself, and found the processes.
I didn't change anything about what he delivered. He's fantastic at what he does.
Yeah.
It's just, can you package it in a way that puts the other person's priority front and center?
Yeah.
Whether it's their pain point, what they want, their priority.
Yeah, in their everyday language, in a way that they need to see it, read it, feel it, whatever, that resonates with them, and then they can have that. They can have one of those roller coaster moments.
They can get buzzy roller coaster. Yeah. They can go, all right, here we go.
Yeah. And isn't that exactly the essence and the experience that his clients had in the moment of him delivering that?
Absolutely.
Because of him being able to achieve those 3 large sales in a row.
It's the reason I love marketing so much. To me, out of the whole thing, out of the whole whatever category for client fulfillment, all the different things, marketing is the aha moment. Marketing is when you give somebody the opportunity to see something's possible that they didn't think was possible, to have a different thought that they didn't have before. Marketing properly is when you create those situations for people.
Yeah, we refer to that as the resonance of a client being able to envision themselves because of the visual that you've displayed, that they go, wow, that's me, or that's the transformation I seek.
Can you imagine getting to do that for people?
Yeah, it's exciting. Well, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. Yeah. As we come to the close of the show, and I knew we'd get to the end really, really quickly once we got on our roller coaster ride.
Our own personal roller coaster with each other. Yeah.
Is there anything closing wise that we haven't covered that you'd like to cover in this last little bit?
I would tell you that whatever it is that you think you want, go for more.
Oh.
Go for more. Because when I ask people what they want, they think about it, they get a hit, and then they lower it. And that's what they say to me.
Yeah.
Don't lower it. Don't lower it.
Go with what resonates first. Don't lower it. Thank you, Erin. Incredibly insightful. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you. Thank you very, very much. Just for the people that are listening and want to know what's happening in our next episode is going to be on Tame the Dragons of Distraction and Reclaim Your Self-Worth. So a nice add-on to the very insightful conversation that we've had today. So again, thank you very, very much, Erin, for sharing so much with us. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you very much, and we'll look forward to sharing with you again on another episode of Success Secrets Exposed. See you for now. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.